This is Build Your Strength. I'm Michael Prediger, and my guest today is Natalia Saldarriaga. Natalia is a prototype of a highly educated, self-motivated, cosmopolite, and workaholic. This description reflects her love to travel and that she studied and worked in 5 different countries. She was born in Colombia and lives in Paris now. Natalia began her career with a dream start and worked as a project manager for international projects, having huge clients and big brands as financial organizations like the European Commission and the World Bank. But already years ago in projects for renewable energy, she felt unhappy somehow, but her professionalism let her continue as before. Having 12 to 15-hour days pushed her career, but at the same time, it destroyed her health. She was addicted to work and its rewards. She worked until exhaustion and ignored the warning signs of her body. Due to circumstances, she had to take the bicycle after dinner and drove home. Next, she could remember finding her back in a hospital, unable to communicate. She woke up in her personal nightmare and was unable to speak even one of her 3 languages she spoke before. What happened? Her body took the emergency brake. Unfortunately, she became unconscious while driving. So she crashed down and hit the edge of a sidewalk with her head and injured her head and the brain. In the result, she had to learn even easy things like the alphabet and mathematics again from scratch. From neurologists, she learned that the accident was caused by an extreme burnout. It took her 2 years in therapy to fully recover. Looking backward, the accident was a big gift for her, as if life would have given her a clear message to stop killing her slowly by the way she's living. And that's what she did. She stopped and quit her job. At the first time, she started to live a life outside her job. So it became more and more clear for her the next adventure would be outside of her comfort zone. And she had to reinvent herself. Whatever she did before was meaningful for her clients. But now she wanted to live a life with real purpose and add value to other people, not for their business, but personally. One of the key moments to take the decisions was while Natalia was watching an episode of London Real with Brian Rose and Philip McCann about One Last Talk. Natalia started following her dreams to build an own business, being a podcaster, public speaker, and successful entrepreneur. She's using her experiences and started building an online business to help executive young women to beat burnout. How I met Natalia, she still seems to be difficult for her. It will be difficult for her not to fall into old patterns of being workaholic. She is still the powerful adventurer, and if she would have left in the beginning of the last century, I could imagine she would be part of the South Pole expedition of Amundsen, or later in the century, being one of the first women on Mars. So she's always looking for the next adventure. Bienvenido a Build Your Strength. Buenos días, Natalia. Es un placer recibirte aquí.
Wow, buenos dias, Michael. What an epic introduction. Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you. So happy and honored to be your guest.
Same on my side. Thank you so much for having time.
Of course.
So maybe one first question, which is completely outside of everything. So I know you love traveling and you used to work as a project manager. How do you prepare your trips and vacation?
Actually, because I work all the time as a project manager, I used to kind of chill out regarding my trips. So I was more relaxed in that sense. But what I did was that I tried to communicate with locals. So I didn't want like the touristic, like the typical touristic places to be. I always tried to stay in touch, to be in touch with locals, so they could show me like the real part of the country. But yeah, I used to make a little plan, like used to visit the typical touristic sites, but I was always like looking to meet people, like local people, all the time, and I still do it. And I have discovered wonderful places and wonderful like this yeah, the city that you were not expecting at all. You can know that through the culture and through the guidance of a local. So I've always done that.
I know that it's really interesting to get beyond the surface and the touristic pictures they paint, and see the true life and the details which are usually hidden for the standard tourist.
Yeah, that's what I love, like the real face of the city or the country. So that's very interesting.
So you've seen the world, and why Paris? What's Paris? What has Paris attracting you?
Paris is because I was in love with a French guy at the time. Well, he's my ex-husband. He's French, and that's why I came to Paris. And then I started studying here. I did a master's in La Sorbonne about humanitarian aid and international cooperation and political science. So that's how I started living here, and then I was settled here with my husband at the time. So that's why it was because of love, actually. Because of French.
If you remember back the little Natalia in Colombia, since when did she know she will leave the country, she will conquer the world and live outside?
I always knew that. I think it's always been my passion, and I knew that since I was very young, because I was really lucky and privileged. I was living in a privileged like environment. I was from the typical upper middle class, so I've always been very lucky, and my parents have always invested in my education. So we're studying in a private British school in Bogota.
Okay.
So I was always like speaking English since I was very young, and I started learning French as well when I was in high school and at school. So I really, that's where the seed was planted. That's where I knew that I loved this have an international career, to speak different languages, because I was already used to it. So I grew up with it thanks to my school. So I was already passionate about everything that it was international, discovering different cultures and speaking different languages and talking to different people. So that since very young, that's why I started an international career as well when I was in Colombia. Yes, I was really focusing on traveling and on discovering the world since I was very, very young. So I started at 15. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's early.
Yeah, that's early. I started traveling at 15. I went to England because I was studying in a British school. So I organized like actually in Colombia, I don't know if that exists in Europe. I don't think so. It's like when in the United States they celebrate the Sweet 16 for girls, like where they are 16-year-old. They like parents make this big party and they give this big presents to that little girl who's becoming a woman. Yeah, that's kind of cheesy, but that's how it's done in the United States. And we have something like that in Colombia.
Okay.
Like the Sweet 15. And when you're 15, like you are becoming this woman, this adult woman. So yeah, parents make a big party and everything. And I just told to my father, like, I don't want a big party. That's kind of cheesy and ridiculous. I just want to travel. And that's why I said, okay, if you want to travel, let's do that. And that's where everything started when I was 15. And So it's always been a passion for me.
So I grew up in Eastern Germany, in the GDR. And then we had it as well, but it was with 14. It's not only for girls, it was boys and girls. It was
Cool.
just celebrating the step from being a child towards being an adult. So there was one day with a cheesy party. and we kept it. We kept this tradition, and our daughter is now next week she's going to become 15, and so we did it last year as well.
Cool, you celebrated. That's cool.
Yeah, we celebrated it. Had Natalia always been that perfectionistic with herself and that critic?
Yeah, always. It kind of comes now that I think a little bit about my life, and that now that I look like backwards, I think it comes from my father, because my father has always been like that really working hard, working hours and hours and hours, and he was kind of hiding himself with his job. Mm-hmm. So I grew up a little bit like that, and my parents were really demanding, and my father was really pushing me up, pushing me like, you can do this, you can get the best results. And for example, I don't know how you say that, la moyenne, you say that in French, like for example, the highest grade was 5, for example, at school, and I got 4 or 4.5, and my father, and I showed it to my father, really, really, really like excited, like, look, I had a 4 or 5, and he said, why not 5? So I always had this demand, like this. My father was really, like asking me for the best results, and I think that's what it comes from. And then I was always trying to look for the best result, always the best, but not in a healthy way. But yeah, it's like I've always been like that, always an overachiever. Okay. I was very young, but at a very high price. That's
I can imagine. I noted a quote, and let me read it for you. I stopped being my own worst critic and decided to give myself a break. Mm-hmm. Do you know who it wrote?
Yeah, I wrote that. And I wrote it because of the picture I posted, which was this girl looking at the mirror and just giving a hug to herself. And that really what really resonated with me. I was like, oh my goodness, I've been so hard to myself, and that's why I decided to give myself a little break, and that's why I decided to reinvent myself and live a new adventure, and quit my job in the consulting sector. Yeah, so I said I need to give myself a break, definitely.
I took it from Twitter. I took it from your Twitter account early March, and for me it sounds a bit like break. Sounds a bit like temporarily. And so is this the workaholic pattern again?
I tend to, it's like that. We always have these patterns like coming back. And I think it's like a lifetime work, because even when you're vulnerable and where things are not going on very well, there are the old patterns that emerge all the time, and you have to really be aware of that and just tell them stop. But that's the difference now. I think that the Natalia, before the accident and before everything happened, she didn't even realize that was happening. That she had this perfectionism and this workaholic pattern. I was in complete denial. And now the difference is that you really know where the symptoms are, and you can like identify them, and then you can stop them, like at time, like not until it's too late, but you can do it like early enough. And I think that's the great difference now, that I'm observing myself all the time. So that takes discipline, that takes effort as well, because you need to be aware of what you're doing. But I think that's the big difference. The workaholism is always there, like the addiction is always there, of course, it's always there, and it's gonna come back like all the time. That now it's like this trip of the it's like a trip you're doing within yourself. It's like this journey, this hero journey. And the difference is that you perceive it differently, and that's how you learn. But it's always there.
Yeah, but for your next steps, for sure, it will be good. I always have one quote from an interview in my mind from Steve Jobs, and he spoke about how to develop a company, being an entrepreneur, and he said, "Well, you need to be completely obsessed because it's so hard. Every rational thinking person would give up."
Yeah.
So that's why this obsession is always great, and having the conscious mind on the dangerous facts, that's good. So I'm just having a second quote. So I originally heard this expression from a woman I adore, Marie Forleo. They agree everything is figure outable.
Figure outable. I love Marie Forleo.
What would you figure out if you could?
Depending on what? On my life, do you mean, or
in general? So the biggest thing would you say? Well, if I could figure out that fact,
like a new solution or something?
Yeah, well, whatever. So just where your thoughts are at the first moment.
Wow. Could figure out. Wow, that's a good question. Like right now, I'm dealing with I'm working on the relation with my family, and I think I would figure out the way of not being the savior and the Natalia who's saving her family and who's living her family's life and who's correcting everything for their family. Like I'm trying to protect my sister because she's sick, and I'm trying to do things for her or impose things to her. So you should do this, you should read this book, you should invest in this, and that's something I would figure out, like how to respect each one's process, because I have to respect my sister's process. That's her own journey, her own life. So how to really stick to my own life and my own business. Because it's hard for me not to be that the protector and not be the babysitter. It's hard for me, especially for my sister. So that's something I'm figuring out right now.
Yeah. Okay. And so there is one thing we have a bit in common. It's about London Real, because London Real, you described that the interview with Philip McCann touched you that strong, and so there was one quote out of it. So our greatest gifts lie right next to our deepest ones. So this is really great and goes deep, and but every time all the episodes here is they're touching already with the intro, because that's one of the wonderful intros I've ever seen in any channel. So they said that the human race is doomed, that we've lost touch with our true nature, and so the whole intro of London Real already touched me, and it's every time so the way as they do it. Maybe you can describe how this interview touched you, and the quotes from Philip.
Yeah, actually, that was one of my aha moments. Obviously, my accident, like I told you, and all the meaning with the accident and all the lessons I learned. But it was in January, actually, before taking the business accelerator course in London Real. I had a job offer to work with a consulting company in London, and I was like, oh my goodness. And there was a part of my brain that was telling me, like, wow, this is a super opportunity. This is what you've been always chasing. Actually, you've always been chasing for this kind of opportunity, working in London with a big team, working in English, like with big clients. And that was the Natalia, the former Natalia, Natalia before the accident. But I knew all the stress and all the work that was gonna bring to me. And I said, I can't go back to a burnout like environment because it's so stressful. So I was like, oh my God, but I need to earn money. I need to I need to have a salary. What am I gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was this big debate inside my head. I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I said, but I don't want to have the 9-to-5 typical corporate job again. I don't want to go back to this routine. And then I said, but I have to earn money, and this is a great opportunity. And what are you going to do? So there was this big fight inside my head. So to stop my head for a little while and stop the overthinking, I just started seeing this interview with Philip McKernan and Brian Rose. And it's incredible because one of the questions was, Brian asked him, how did he define success and freedom? And just his answer was great. It's when late at night, you're just lying in bed with a smirk, with this little laugh, this little smile on your face, and you said, shit, I'm leaving. And then you go to bed with peace of mind.
Yeah.
And that sentence, oh my goodness, I started crying like crazy. Because I said, Natalia, are you leaving? Am I leaving? Am I really leaving? Am I going to bed like with peace of mind, just smiling and said, wow, I did what I really wanted to do today. I'm following my passion, I'm following my dreams. I'm giving value to the community, to my audience. Am I doing that? No, I'm not doing that. So that really was the answer for me. And I said, no, if I say yes to that consulting job offer, I'm not going to be leaving. I'm going to be living the same vicious circle I was living before, but I'm not going to change. So that really helped me a lot. And now I can go to bed, and now that I'm living this adventure, I don't know what the results are going to be. I don't have any guarantee, but I'm doing what I'm giving myself the opportunity. I'm allowing myself to do what I want to do, to follow my dream and to take action on it.
Yeah.
So right now I can say that I can go easily to bed every night and say, wow, I'm living. Shit, I'm fucking living.
And this is really cool. And how did it affect the accelerator program, your plans?
Well, now I have to take action. What I loved about the plan is the course. It's the accountability doc, because it gives you like this simple steps with a clear deadline, so you can just take action and do it, and keep like making the steps you need to really achieve your goal. So that's really important, because I didn't have a strategy. Like, I had this big dream, but I didn't have a clear strategy, and I didn't know how to get that dream come true, to make that dream come true. And now I think that I'm having strategy, so I'm having like really clear steps to follow in order to achieve that goal. So that I needed that thing. So that's what I needed, and that's what I'm doing right now, thanks to all that I have learned. So I have tools that I didn't have before.
Yeah. So did you use, or did you transfer this kind of tool to your own planning?
Yes, definitely. I try to like to make SMART goals, which means it's like I have at the beginning had this big mountain, this big objective, but I didn't know how to achieve it. So with the course, what I learned is that you have this big objective that you just how do you say that? That you just
you fragment it.
Like you just divide it like in little pieces. Like you break down. That's the thing. With the breakdown of this big objective, and then you make these little steps, and wow, that's where you know that you're moving forward, and you can measure it, and that and that makes me feel more calm as well. Like, okay, I'm doing this, I need to take this step, and then the other step, and then the other step, and that gives you light, like in the tunnel, because sometimes you're so confused that you don't know where to go, and you go in very different directions, and you think that you're not moving forward, but you're but you're stressed out and you are working a lot, but without a north, like a north star. And I think that now I have a north star. I know where I'm going.
Yeah, so something guiding
Feel
you.
better. Yeah, I have a guidance, so that's what I needed. That's why I'm so happy. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And how have been your first steps? So I've seen your website, and on the other hand side, how has been the reaction of your audience? So that having burnout and fighting on the edge is something you usually hide in the business process. So
I know.
don't show anybody your weaknesses. And so how has been the reaction? I'm really curious.
Wow, yeah, because at the beginning I was kind of ashamed of what I've been through. I said, "Oh my goodness," because I was telling myself like the story in a wrong way. So seeing myself like this poor victim, and oh, Natalia, you had a burnout and you had an accident, which is a brain injury. So which company it's gonna hire you? No company is gonna hire someone that has had a burnout and that is with a broken brain. And now I don't have anything to like. Yeah, I don't have any future now. I'm never gonna find like a normal job or normal or the level I used to, with the responsibilities I used to deal with before. So I felt completely defeated, and then I decided to tell myself the story in a different way, and that's where I decided like to expose myself and to share my story with others. And well, I had wonderful results. It's incredible. Like people were telling me like, wow, thank you for being so brave of telling the story, telling your story to us, sharing your story. Thank you for showing your vulnerability. Thank you for showing us your challenges, because that's how you become inspirational. And I was like, oh my God, really? I was really shocked. I was not expecting that type of reactions. They were telling me, wow, thank you, because we have that. I mean, like people like really recognized themselves in my story. They were like, really, I felt I've been through that. Thank you for telling us that you've also been through that not the only one that's having a burnout or that had an accident or that's working like crazy. Thank you for sharing that with us. So that for me was really a game changer. That really helped me a lot.
Yeah. And how did your first webinars went?
Fine. I created a digital product about burnout and how to deal with burnout. Actually, it's a survival kit for women who hustle, because we're always hustling, we're always doing 10,000 different things. So it's a survival kit to go from burnout to reinvention. So it was great. I'm starting to have some sales, and yeah, women are really happy with it. And it's a 6-step course that help women, young women, executive women, overachievers like I used to be. That help them to identify the symptoms, to know if they are going through a burnout or not. And they give the course gives some tools to deal with the burnout, to ask for help, actually, to recognize the symptoms, and to deal with time in a strategic way, like really strategically, because that's the thing, that we don't know how to deal with time, and we are slaves of our time. And the idea is to make time work for you. So that's what you can get with my course.
Yeah, cool. And so just having 2 questions left for you.
Yeah.
So one is really if you look back, so for the first symptoms, and if you should give some recommendation to any founder, what to be careful with. So what should it be?
Like I always tell people, like, not to ignore the red flags that your body is showing you, because it's not normal to have a headache. It's not normal to have a migraine. Like I remember that I used to have lots of migraines. It's not normal to have a back pain. It's not normal just to be in this emotional roller coaster all the time. That's not normal. And we tend to get used to that, like to live in the drama, like to have this ups and downs, like these emotional ups and downs, to have to be stressed all the time. That's not normal. Our body's not done for that. And that's why your body starts speaking and giving you signs and telling you, hey, pay attention. So my first advice is don't ignore those signs, and please ask for help. Don't do like I used to do, like I was having a headache and I just go and get a pill or a painkiller, and I just kept working. And I was in complete denial of my own symptoms. So please listen to your body.
Yeah. And how would you do this? Or having somebody who's really on the roller coaster, and how to do the step out? How can you handle to step on the brakes if you're overwhelmed by the tasks and all this the pace around you?
I think you have to slow down. There's no other solution. Like, slow down, breathe. That's why I started meditation, because I really needed to get disconnected from the reality, from everything that was going on around me. So it's like, stop, breathe, meditate a little bit, disconnect yourself from what you're doing. Do what you love to do. If it's running, it's running. If it's working out, just go and work out. Just go out and work out just for 10-15 minutes. If it's dancing, it's dancing. For example, me, I love dancing. So every time I'm really stressed out, I stop. I listen to my favorite salsa song. I dance salsa, and then that gives me oxygen, because otherwise you're always like inside. You're always with your head inside all this mess, and you cannot have a global vision of what's going on. And that's why you can't take decisions, and that's why you're so confused. So the first step is to slow down and stop and give yourself a little break. That's why I was talking about in my post about giving yourself a break, like stopping, breathing, sleeping, eating, because that's what the first thing I forgot was to eat. I barely ate when I was working. It's like, take care of yourself. That's the first step. Definitely.
Okay. So thanks for that recommendation. And I never had a chance to meet the old Natalia, but I can tell you the new Natalia is fascinating, and and it's really incredible how you are fighting back after everything you survived, and how optimistic and enthusiastic you're going to go for your passion and develop your business and go for your goals. So thanks for sharing all these things with me and everybody looking at the video or hearing the podcast. Thank you so much. And I would like to wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, Michael. You've been a great host, and thank you again for that super introduction.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.